memory's going. Okay, I'm going to say got it.
Got
We
it.
do got it right.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, friends. I'm Sylvia Miller-Mutia, and I'm here with Carla DeSola and Sandra Rivera, another of Carla's dancers. And today we're going to visit with Carla and watch together one of the iterations of the Earth Mass, which has just been a huge piece of both the history of the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City and kind of a core part of Omega's identity, and bits and pieces of it have shown up other places, other times. But before we watch, Carla, what do you want to say about the inception and
Oh,
concept?
it was a thrilling moment when the Dean Morton at the cathedral, who was really like a godsend to me. He gave us a free studio in the crypt for 25 years. Well, at one point earlier on, he said, and he knew Paul Winter and the, what is it, Living Music? No, that's Paul. There was another Fred Renz in the crypt. We had studios in the crypt down below. And he had a little grant the first time. Otherwise, we didn't do that. But he had a grant, and he said he had met with Paul Winter first, and they had worked on the Earth Mass. And there's a beautiful old LP with pictures of the progress of that. And think of how long this is before the whole ecological awareness we have today. This was what, 20, 30 years before that. Um,
Well, what was the year more or less that this project started to emerge?
I don't know. It must have been in the 80s.
I think that sounds right.
Maybe early 80s. I came to the cathedral in 75, and it must have been early 80s. But he said, we have some money for a grant, and we are going to be doing the Earth Mass, and would you like to be part of it? And of course, yay. I didn't even know the beauty and the scope of it. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the Earth Mass involves live creatures. It was the conception of Paul Winter and the Dean, and I was thrilled to be a part of it. Is that what the question that you asked for now?
Yeah, how did it and is there anything else before we watch it that you especially want to say?
Well, I put in an audition notice actually in one of the dance trade magazines. I'd never done that because we had such a small little group. We already had a studio in Omega, but it was very small. And the next day, and so we got sort of people, regular dancers from the community to be a kind of mass group. And I used core people from our Omega group. Um, and one person called me the day after the audition notice and said, I know I didn't answer, but I must be part of it. She
Mm.
was Cherokee, and she said, I must be part of the Saving the Wolves. And she was a beautiful dancer, and I never forgot that call that she made, even though she couldn't make the audition. And she was a lovely dancer. She was a kind of commercial dancer, and with her background, and she became a part of the whole family of Omega. Did you know her, Sandra?
What was her name?
Joan Henry.
Oh, Joan Henry. Yes, she ended up directing the mass after you left to
Oh, okay.
right.
Well,
But I'm gonna insert here. You know, Carla, I remember you saying how you approached the dean and saying, how can you have a mass without dance?
oh, did I say that?
Because the first 2 years, I think, of the mass, there was no dancing, or the first
For the
year.
first year, there was no dance. There was no
And you
dance.
approached the dean.
Oh, oh,
I
I'd
mean, I
forgotten
love that
that.
story because it's like there's Carla advocating for dance in
I
in
had gotten that mixed up because I was so pleased at some point later he said we have a small fund for this.
yes, because then he said, he said, okay, give me a budget.
Wow.
It's just like, I
Oh,
just
that
love
was
that story about how here's Carla with her grand vision, and then the dean also being very welcoming.
mhm.
Anyway,
Mm.
that's just my
Oh, that's wonderful. And it was always done at the first year, it was another time in the year, but most of the time after the first year or the second year, it was always done on the Sunday closest to the feast of St. Francis.
Right.
And that was important because of St. Francis' canticle to the sun and the creatures.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and start. And Carla, if at any point you want me to pause so that we can discuss a little bit and then go on, it's I think a 20-minute chunk, so it's quite a bit. So just let me know if you want to pause.
Well, I'm sure I do, because the exciting thing for me was the very beginning too.
And I saw that Sandra put in the chat that 1982 was the year. So
great,
if
Sandra.
folks look at this video on their own, it's on Carla DeSola's web YouTube channel. And
I didn't know how to.
here we go.
May I stop? Pause? This is for the beauty of the earth, and the whole congregation of 5,000 people. I led them in movement to it, in a simple form, but it was so exciting for me to see that number of people standing up and doing this for the beauty of the earth. I would like to teach everybody that if we have time later, what the gestures.
Yeah.
Should I do it now or wait or later?
You know what? I think it would be lovely if you do it now, because then as folks are watching, they'll have a sense of it in their own bodies as well.
Well, on the first verse of the cathedral, everyone just stood up for the beauty of the earth. The whole first verse was just standing up. And okay.
Back so that then we can actually see your whole body.
People were just standing up for the beauty of the earth. Now, David Macaulay made a beautiful earth ball for us. So when I do it in other places, everyone gestures toward the earth ball. For the beauty of the earth, sing, oh, sing today. Then with one arm it circles for the sky, big circle. And then you curve your other arm, left arm, and at our birth and go under it. That was pretty good for the congregation to do. Sing, oh, sing today. So just that much. For the beauty of the earth, sing, oh, sing today. Of the sky and our birds, sing, oh, sing always. Then we just sway. Nature human and divine, all around us lie. Lord of all, to thee we give grateful hymns of praise. At the actual Earth Mass, they end it with brother, son, but it's not on tapes to use that way. Well, it was a thrill for me to start that way.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Well, let me find us. Here we go.
That's the canticle to brother, son. I've forgotten that one. This was the Omega group. That's Paul Winter on his horn. I will praise you, brother, son. Sister Moon, God be praised. all the dancers are coming up the aisle, and the Omega Wolf goes to greet them, and then he comes back. Marie de la Palme made up this thing about a little squirrel and the words. Tell you the beauty of the earth. Now, this is an image of the sun rising behind the altar. The sun. I was alone in the cathedral one day imitating the dance. I got the idea. I was one day alone thinking about the choreography in St. John the Divine, a huge cathedral, and I suddenly pictured the dancer's arms like the sun behind the altar. It was really a moment of prayer in the cathedral that gave me that image.
Oh. It makes me think of the monstrance for the, adoration of the host with the ray.
Oh, I never thought of that. Yes. Oh, lovely.
Well, and I'll just say while we're paused that the word that comes to my mind is just exuberance. It's so energetic, and I'm watching those dancers jete off the stairs onto the.
Yes, that required practice. Yes, you have it. It's just joy. The cathedral just filled us with joy, and you'll know why in a moment when you later see the animals coming in.
Okay.
Should I say something about what's coming up next, which is the Kyrie?
Sure.
Okay, watching the Kyrie. I think that's what is the next dance that is there. The Kyrie. This is a sign language for life. I'm not sure if it's a Native American that Joan Henry gave us or a sign for life. And the dancers are running down the aisle, calling for the life of the wolf in the Kyrie. In the Kyrie, it's the wolf. In the Sanctus, it's the whale. The things are going different ways. So the wolf, for the life of the wolf. And they come and they go behind the altar and in front. Well, you'll see, but I just wanted to say, that's Kyrie. The wolf call. Listen for the wolf call. There's a tenor. Forgotten his name now. He goes, ah, tenor. Then you hear on a recording live wolves. Ooh, But
Wonderful.
now we can get into that.
Let's continue.
And Sandra, if you have other images. This is what the other was practice. Oh, I might have done something similar. Simply because it has to be. Those people. It's the wolf call. David? Now the dancers have run down a very long aisle. The cathedral choir is there to the left. And learn to use all the heights possible.
I'm just pausing so that it's easier to hear you.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was just saying I learned to use all the heights I could, whether it was the pulpit or the altar, or, to make use of that space. So they went during the Kyrie, which I see there was a processional of the clergy and everyone setting up. I had the dancers go up into the pulpit, not pulpit, what? Pulpit.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say, someone who was not there, even in this kind of poor quality recording, the excitement of this event is so palpable.
Mhm.
Like
Sandra, do you have any memories of the Kyrie?
Yes. I'm just thinking about, I think I saw Sylvia sort of react a little bit when that clergy went down. That was also choreographed. And that also meant that Carla or whoever was directing the mass had to they had to come to rehearsals, the clergy, to know when they were coming in, when they were going to stop. It was very organized, very precise.
yeah.
It was a major, major undertaking, but worth it. That's important points on that. leaping across. So we're using our flags. I realize, Sandra, we're using our flags and our sleeves, probably for the first time.
And you've told us, but why don't you go ahead and talk about the origin of the sleeves and the flags? I think you've said that Alan Tung.
Yes, Alan Tung, who was a wonderful choreographer. God, we were lucky to have him, and he did a lot of things. The first he did the Kyrie. It was Paco Garcia who did the first Sanctus, I think, which was with the whales, and then Alan did it after Paco died. It was also the era. It was a sad era of the AIDS crisis, and Alan died, and Paco died. So it was a very full time of joy and sorrow. But at this time, there was quite a few times where we had this full out with everybody there.
I'm really noticing how crucial the sleeves are for sort of creating magnitude and scale, especially in a cathedral as
Yes.
as St. John the Divine. A little human body is sort of dwarfed, but extending that human body and the movement with the fabric helps, make
Very
that.
good point. That
Yeah.
must have been in back of our minds, and I had forgotten that it's considered the largest cathedral in the world. It's not a basilica, but it's considered the largest cathedral in the world. So yes, and I can't wait until you see, and we may have to go fast forward a bit depending on time, the largest animal coming in. I could. That's Paul Winter and his horn. You hear the dogs barking? People could bring their animals to the church.
Mm.
Is that the duet on the pulpit? Yes. That's Marie de la Palme, who brought David Macaulay, who still dances with us. And we sing Young David. It's a prayer, basically, a prayer together. The birds. I think we're listening to the creatures unto each other. This was a scary moment. I did it once. I was scared to death up there. Before we do that, I don't know that it was both the cathedral choir and the Paul Winter consort that were providing the music together. I think Eugene Friesen was the cellist. Is that his name, Sandra?
Yes.
Yes, for many, many years. It was so scary, just maybe because of me, when I was up there once with another partner doing that, and you are really high up, when there's concrete below you. So it's a matter of trust. But I don't remember Let All Mortal Flesh being part of the Earth Mass.
Well, I guess
Me
it at least sometime been, or we'll see.
We did that as a procession at some liturgy. It is. Maybe it was bringing up the gifts.
Mhm.
Okay.
I guess it was, but that's not in the Earth Mass itself. That's an old hymn.
Correct. Yeah. But it looks like in the context of the event, it's what in the Episcopal Church we would call the offertory, where you bring forward the collection and then the bread and the wine. And
Yes, it was that. Yes, and all of these things, it highlights how so much of the liturgy, the Mass, is a dance.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have a whole thing. I hope we don't run out of time. I want to see it live. But I have a whole thing I found in this oral history that Martha Ann Kirk has me working on. I found words I had written about the Earth Mass. If at some point I could read them.
Well, let's
And,
keep watching. And then when we're done watching, you can read
yes.
those.
Okay, good. This is the Sanctus, right?
Yes.
The whales. Whale. Oh, let's stop. Let's stop. Sandra, aren't the animals in by now?
No,
Did they come in after communion?
they came in. I mean, it's like the service. They came in at the end, and then there's a reprieve that we're going to see right now of Canticle, brother,
Uh-huh.
son.
It is so exciting, though. Let me just say something in case I don't have a chance if it goes right into the procession of the animals. Suddenly, the church is darkened. Do you remember this, Sandra? The church is darkened. Um, when and the doors open and you think the sunlight's going to pour through, but it doesn't because the elephant blocks the whole door. The size of the elephant blocks out any sunlight from outside. Omega had the job of taking their flags and holding back the congregation from going toward to touch the elephant, which we were not allowed to do. And then they all process and circle around the altar. I think that's, well, we're receiving communion, but I may be wrong with this. But it's just so wonderful to have the small creatures followed by bigger and bigger and bigger, and then finally the elephant. And they all circle the altar. They're all welcome at the altar.
Hmm. Wow.
And I just want to say it was something choreographing, or rehearsing the Sanctus, with all the leaps and the different rows of people. It was such a big cast.
I am struck by how enormous the cast is. And as I was watching it, realizing too, how what is uniquely possible somewhere like New York City, where you have so many professional dancers and aspiring professional dancers that you can have a cast of that magnitude and quality.
It's true. That's true too. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Well,
This last bit.
I think this is the reprise sounded, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't show the creatures circling the altar. Oh, there he is. Yeah, see? For winter.
And the cathedral choir, they're all doing the gestures.
Yes, they are.
Bishop Moore.
They're leading the congregation outside. Well, I'm sorry that you didn't see all the animals in procession, but at least you saw the elephant.
Surreal. The whole thing to me is so surreal, like this little glimpse of the kingdom of heaven that that you experienced and glimpsed in the flesh. This little flash of, Isaiah's peaceable kingdom with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the lion shall lie down with the lamb, and all those we need so much. And they had a adoption service outside usually later, and the elephant hung around a little bit with the trainer, but the trainer was right there, to make sure that he would not stampede or something. Right. Anything, Sandra, you wanted to say about that?
I do want to say that one of the beauties for me, after doing it a number of times, that I really appreciated was that the service starts with dance. All these dancers rushing in and feeling the space and doing these gestures of welcome to the congregation.
Yes.
And the other thing was that as time grew through the years, you would have people that would come year after year. So when we would do the gestures, they were able to lead the 5,000 people that were
Yes.
in the sanctuary to do the gestures.
This to me was the most glorious Mass of the year. And all the times I did it. I mean, you can't get over the beauty of it. I remember when one of my dancers, Stephen, he was late. I said, "How could you come late?" He said, "I had to take care of my dog. I'm bringing my dog." I just remember that, thinking, okay, of course. We had a studio in the crypt, so he was down there with his dog and brought the dog up and settled him down. Oh God. Well, what I wrote, Paul Winter supplied the music along with the cathedral choir, and about 5,000 people and assorted animals packed the space. We streamed down the aisles to the Kyrie, based on the wolf call, and leaped to the Sanctus, imitating the whales. We proclaimed and danced with St. Francis, the brotherhood and sisterhood of all the creatures, and held back the crowds with our flags as a great solemn elephant slowly processed down the aisle with familiar and exotic creatures. All of life seemed to give praise and was honored. Let's see, then the animals came to the altar for a blessing. The congregation welcomed elephants, camels, ponies, parrots, hedgehogs, sheep, rabbits, eagles, fish, geese, tortoises, and not to mention dogs and cats. Later that afternoon, attendants gathered for food, fun, and adoption of animals on the lawn surrounding the cathedral. And there's a picture here of the elephant. Probably can't see it.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Going outside of leading the congregation outside.
Wow.
But what you didn't see, which I hoped, was the creatures circling the altar,
Well, we'll have to poke around the internet and see if we can find someone who captured that bit a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more videos of the Mass that you might be able to
find.
There were some that were better videotaped,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this gives the feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was certainly such a special part of our lives. Oh, God Almighty. It was like the whole autumn was the Earth Mass, preparing for it.
Do you have any last memories, Carla or Sandra, about the Earth Mass that are coming to mind that you wanted to share?
Let me just think. It's no longer going on, is it? We need it now with all the attention on the creatures of the earth. Oh, my. We could also add images of of water and the preciousness of water and plants, and it could expand even in concept.
Yeah.
I also think what a magical experience, but it was that there were certain things in place. You had the leadership of D. Morton, the great music of Paul Winter, the Omega Dance Company, and that because Omega was in residence, that helped to make this possible.
And there was also Forces of Nature, which is an African dance company, which was also asked to be part of it a little later on. And so they added another dimension too, which was less liturgically oriented, but was a dimension of the wider world and dance.
Well,
They,
I was just going to say, I wonder if in closing, you might lead us once more through those.
yes, for the beauty of the earth, right? For everyone, please stand. And for the beauty of the earth, sing, oh, sing today of the sky and at our birth. Sing, oh, sing always. Nature, human, and divine, all around us. And we turned actually during that. All around us lie. Lord of all, to thee we give. And I noticed that they did grateful hymns of praise.